Before I start making this video, I'm gonna make some timestamps throughout the video because I think this is gonna end up being very long. So yeah, I'm gonna put timestamps for the video down in the comments. I don't know how to do it. I'm probably gonna look up a tutorial how to do it specifically, but yeah, I'll put timestamps because it's gonna be a long video. Like if you wanted to like skip to the end and see where I put everything, and then look at the timestamps and see why I put each role where I put it, and you know, I maybe I shouldn't be making a tier list when season 3 is coming out soon, and they're probably going to nerf and buff a lot of these roles and then add new roles as well. But here I am, I guess. Also, I recorded this little opening after I already made the tier list, so you're about to see I have this role like ranked already. Yeah, I got Blackmailer and Framer mixed up. I fixed that later. So yeah, don't be too confused on why I have like Blackmailer right here and I say it's Framer when I'm ranking it. Okay, well that's it for the opening then. I'm going to be making a tier list on Bloxston Mystery, the roles. I'll be putting them where I think they should go. I've seen a couple other tier lists of Bloxston Mystery before, but I feel like they usually put too many roles in S tier. And, I thought, hey man, I might as well make my own role list as well. Tier list. I'm going to start off with Framer. Yeah, it's an F tier because it's the worst role in the game. It, I don't even think it affects Investigator and Bounty Hunter. It might, but I don't think it does. Now, if it does, that'd make it a little bit better. I'd still say it's probably the worst role, but if it only affects Sheriff, that's just like it's only there to give Mafia an extra vote. It doesn't really do anything else. Uh, yeah, but most people would probably agree that Frame is probably the worst. And then next is Ambusher, which, going from the worst Mafia to the best Mafia, it's almost always a confirmed kill. It attacks them in the mud room, which is the room that you're in before you enter the house. Like, that alone is overpowered. So if you attack 5, and 5 is visiting 7, it'll send you to 7's house to attack 5 there. Like, it's almost always a confirmed kill. Unless the person you're attacking is like a veteran, or maybe a doctor, or like a werewolf or something. It's almost always going to be a confirmed kill. And then it goes really good with Janitor and Forger, since unlike Godfather, you're always going to go where the person is unless they were jailed. It's so yeah, it's probably the best Mafia in my opinion. And then Amnesiac, I'll probably put that in B tier. It's really good role. It's really good, but its biggest downside is that it doesn't have any defense for the first night and maybe the second. I mean, you don't know how long these people are going to be dead for. Well, technically, it doesn't have any defense for the second night, actually, no matter what. But you at least might be able to remember on the second night, and you also kind of have to hope that the winning team is dead. If town is steamrolling Mafia and there's no dead town, you're just kind of screwed. Like, you could remember Mafia, but then well, you're screwed because there's like you're one mafia now, or maybe two mafias, and there's still like 9 townies alive. But I still think it's too good to be putting it in C tier. Maybe. I mean, it's pretty easy to confirm yourself as Amnesiac as well, usually, unless it's like a Medusa or Janitor game, I guess. I'll put it in B tier for now. I might change that later to C tier, because it is kind of around the middle, but I think it's slightly better than C tier. But on the note of C tier, I'll probably put Arsonist in C tier. It's like right in the middle. Well, actually, B would be the middle. Eh, yeah. Arsonist is. A lot of people like to make fun of Arsonist and call it one of the worst neutral killings, but I think it's like better than 2 other neutral killings, or at least one other. Uh, but it's still not that good. You can get a lot of kills at once. You're not suspicious, and you also frame people, because when someone's doused, they show up as suspicious. But it's not that good. Though most neutral killings aren't that good. There's really only one neutral killing that I'd say is really good. Yeah, I think Arsonist is a safe C tier. And then Assassin. If you had asked me this a couple months ago, I probably would have put it in D tier. But I think Assassin's actually pretty good. It like at least compared to certain other Mafia killing, it's pretty good. It's unless you're attacking like a neutral killing or something, it's eh. But Assassin's really good at killing people that can't fight back at least, and a lot of townies can't fight back. So, and also when you visit someone as assassin, it doesn't alert them that anyone visited them. So if you're the only person visiting them as assassin, they're not gonna like hide or anything, or at least not gonna hide any more than they already were. It's very unfortunate if you're the jailer and only an assassin visits you, because you're gonna get caught off guard. Yeah, an assassin also has the increased run speed, which is pretty useful at chasing people down. That's why it's really good at attacking people that can't fight back. Like, more so than other roles like Ambusher, which is like the same speed. Like, Assassin's better at killing a lookout than an Ambusher is, since, they're both pretty much the same in that situation, but the Assassin's faster. Of course, Ambusher's way better in general, but in that, like, certain situation, Assassin would be better. Yeah, a part of me wants to put Bodyguard in A tier, but I don't think I can really justify doing that. I'll probably put it in B tier. It like because it doesn't have any killing power, and it's not really that good at actually protecting people. It is kind of good at protecting people, but I I'm Bodyguard, I'm usually using it to try and find evils. Like I'll go to their house, stay there, and they come back with a weapon. Hey, they're evil. I can knock them out and run away. Uh, and unless there's like a confirmed jailer, then I guess I would have to try and protect him. It is pretty good at protecting jailer though, because it just stops people from going to the jail. Normally though, they can just run by, but they have to stand at the jail for a couple seconds to enter, and you can just stop them from doing that. So it's actually kind of decent at protecting jailer. It's not that good at protecting most other roles though, but it has 400 HP, and that's pretty good. It's yeah. It's pretty decent at confirming evils. Decent, I guess. Then next would be Bounty Hunter, which I think I'm gonna put in S tier because it's like the Investigator, which is one of the best town investigative roles, but then it's also pretty much a town protective because it can, stun people. And it's truly good at stunning people. So you can use it to protect people and confirm evils. So usually if I'm bounty hunter and there's a confirmed jailer, I'll go to the jailer's house as bounty hunter. Since if any mafias visit him, I can just shoot them, check them. I know who the mafia is now, and then I can just spam shoot them later, and they're just stunned for the rest of the night. Its only downside would be if there's like 2 or 3 evils there, because it might get kind of difficult to try and shoot all of them with it, especially since it only has 4 shots before you have to reload. But that's just insanely rare, unless someone's vet baiting, I guess, or like all the vampires decide to attack someone in case they've run into a mafia, which doesn't happen that much. Consig. This The best thing this has going for it is that it can visit. Other than that, I mean, it's just not that good. Usually, so the best thing it has is that it can visit, and with that, with more mafias visiting, you're more likely to find the jailer sooner. That's its biggest thing. Other than that, like, investigating people is pretty worthless. Sure, you can claim town investigators, but it's it's going to get like sussed out. Like people are going to say, "Hey, you might be consig," unless you have a forger who forges someone as consig. In that case, it might work out, but it's just usually not that good. And if you are a consig, that means you're only going to have one mafia deception. You're going to have to hope it's a forger, and then maybe an ambusher, and you could attack the sheriff and forge them as a consig. That would be insanely useful, but yeah, it's just usually not that good for mafia. Like a janitor or a forger would usually just be much better. Distractor, it's kind of like in the middle of the road. Sometimes it's insanely useful, but it's usually not. And like when it's useful, it's insanely useful, and it can clutch games very easily. But it usually doesn't do that. And it also doesn't have defense, and it can't visit. Can't even strike night one either. It's Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to put it lower. Like I would normally put it D for the average, but sometimes it would belong in A tier. So I'll just put it in C because, like, when it's good, it's really good, but it's usually horrible. But I mean, when you're distracted, you should usually just keep a list of who claimed what, so that you don't end up distracting the guy that claimed Vigilante Day 2. But of course, most people don't do that. And Doctor, it's like the Bodyguard with what it does there, but kind of worse. I think I'll put it in. I mean, it could go to B tier. I'm thinking I'm gonna put Bodyguard in A tier actually. Yeah, actually, if Doctor belongs in B tier, then I'll say that Bodyguard belongs in A tier because yeah, Bodyguard's just better than Doctor almost always. Now, Doctor's more useful, obviously, if there's like poison and crap going on, but like on average, Bodyguard's usually going to be more helpful to town. It's very rare that you're actually going to be able to heal a dead town. It does happen, but it's very rare. So, Doctor's actually, I used to really hate Doctor, but it's got some uses. So I'm gonna have to say it's probably better than Distractor on average anyway. Sometimes Distractor is way better than all of these, but usually Distractor doesn't really do much. And then Executioner, that's probably the best role in the game. Not because it's like exceedingly good or anything, it's just you just win. It's very hard to lose as Executioner unless you died night 1 or maybe died night 2 if you're unlucky. Like, it's very easy for your target to die. If your target just doesn't die naturally, which he probably will, you could just push him, and people are gonna believe you, like they always do. Like people are usually a little bit gullible in this game. Just if you push them hard enough, unless they have been confirmed as a town, you're probably gonna be able to get them out. Like you could say your lookout, you saw him kill this dead guy, or you could say your sheriff, he's suspicious. You could say you're a spy and you watch him kill someone, which I guess would be the same as the lookout. I'm not very original here, but it's very easy to push someone who's suspicious here. Like, heck, you could say you're the freaking doctor. You went to his house, he came back home with a gun and shot you and you healed yourself. And then, like, even if you don't vote him out, like, if he just dies during the night, you win. It's just such an easy role to win as. It's probably the easiest role to win as, so it, of course, I have to put it at the top. Because you don't really do anything, and you win. And then you could do whatever you want, just cause chaos. And then there's Executive. Executive should be an A tier, but with how people use it, it would go in F tier. But it, I'll put it in B tier. People usually don't use it that well. You should vote someone every single day, even if it's random voting. That's what Executive is for. It's to random vote people so that you can ask for their role. Because that's all it can do. It just votes. But it doesn't have any defense, and it can't visit, and its voting just doesn't seem as overpowered in this game as it is in Town of Salem, or as good, not overpowered. Especially since in Town of Salem you could go like to the final 2 and vote someone out. In this game, you go to the final 2 like a Juggernaut, he wins. Go to the final 3 with a Juggernaut, he wins. You still lose 3v3 against Mafia, even though you have more voting power. It's just not as good in this game, but it's still really good. I'd put it here, yeah, probably. Oh, and then this Forger. Yeah, this is just one of the best Mafia roles. It's insanely good. I'll put it above Bodyguard. It's just so good when you get to use it. Since as Forger, you should be forging them as Mafias that exist. Like, so if there's no Mafia Investigator, don't forge someone as a Consig. Of course, don't forge someone as a Pestilence Night 1. I've seen that happen before. Like, forge someone as, like, Godfather or something. That's easy to forge as. And now the town thinks, oh, there are 3 Mafias. Like, as long as you don't forge a confirmed town, I guess. You can also forge someone who has been confirmed by one other person, and then push that one other person because they were hard defending that Mafia. Like, Forge is just so good because it causes chaos, it spreads misinformation, and with that, Mafia can just steamroll the town. Like, hey, I'm confirmed doctor, because the other doctor got forged as like a Godfather or something. Okay, that's that's Framer, that's Blackmailer. I got them mixed up. That's kind of funny. This makes a lot more sense as a well, I guess this makes sense as Blackmail, but I feel like pictures make more sense. Like this, you could be like, well, actually, that'd be forging. Never mind. So for blackmailing, I'll put it around B tier. You can read whispers. That's really useful. Stopping someone from talking. That's really useful. They're like town investigative. It's very helpful. It's the mafia. It's not as good at spreading misinformation. It's actually pretty horrible at spreading misinformation. Unlike Forger and Janitor, but it's still a pretty good role. I'd say it goes around B tier. I know at the bottom of B tier. It's really funny when you hear someone whisper to someone else that they're Jailor, not knowing it's a Blackmailer game, and you now know who the Jailor is. Up next is Godfather. Yeah, that's A tier. Godfather's just really strong, plus 50 HP. It's got one of the strongest weapons in the entire game. Like, that weapon is so good. It does a lot of damage, and it shoots really fast. Like, it's just, honestly, like, Godfather is just stronger than most of the neutral killings, and then it has a team as well. It's just such an insanely good role. You're not going to die to Trapper. Hopefully the Trapper doesn't write in his will that you walked in his trap before you get up and shoot him, but yeah, it's just an insanely strong and safe role. That extra HP is just, you're just going to murder everything. Like, sure, you might lose to a Vigilante, but like, most of the time, Godfather's going to win against a Vigilante, unless, of course, Vigilante attacks first. In that case, it's anyone's guess, I guess. But if they both attack at the same time, Godfather's probably going to win that fight pretty easily. And then there's Investigator, that's at the top of A tier. Investigator's just such an insanely good role. It's so easy to confirm someone's role with Investigator. Like, most of the time, like 2 or 3 of the options that show up aren't even going to be like actual options. Like, you might get Guardian Angel, Veteran, Vigilante, Forger, and then the person wasn't home and it's not a Guardian Angel game. Well, you know they're a Vigilante unless they were jailed, but if the jailer's dead, well, yeah, they're 100% a Vigilante because they're not home, so they couldn't be a Veteran or a Forger, and there's no Guardian Angel. Like, that's how it almost always works with Investigator. It always gives these, like, horrible options that they couldn't possibly be, like Plaguebearer when there's no neutral chaos. So it's almost always just insanely easy to find out who the evils are. And then even if it gives multiple possible options, just ask them what their role is. Say, hey, I'm investigator. I checked you. What are you? Claim or you're evil. If they don't claim, well, push them because you just told them you're investigator that checked them. That's their own fault for not claiming. They could at least whisper to you. And then if they do claim and it's not one of the roles you see, well, they're evil then. And if they claim and it is one of the roles you see, well, then they're probably that role unless they got insanely lucky, which just doesn't happen that often. And then there's Jailor, which like, Jailor could go in S tier, and Bounty Hunter could go in A tier, but I think on average, Bounty Hunter is usually capable of doing more. Jailor's got like confirmed kills, very easy confirmed kills, but he doesn't have any defense at all. And also, if he jails a neutral killing and doesn't execute them unless it's a vampire or an arsonist, he's just gonna die. But yeah, Jailor having the confirmed kill on anyone other than Werewolf that's transformed and a Pestilence makes him really overpowered. My dog just shook. I don't know if you heard that, but it's yeah. I'll just put it at the very, very top of A tier because it's either the best town rule or the second best, and I just personally I like Bounty Hunter more. I like if you say Jail is the best, I mean I'm not disagreeing with you. It might be better than Bounty Hunter, but I just personally like Bounty Hunter the most, more than Jailer. Well, Jailer is an insanely overpowered role if you know what you're doing, because it's a confirmed kill. It just doesn't have any defense. And I like having defense, which Bounty Hunter has. Of course, these two roles don't have defense. Well, this one does. It has a sword. This role doesn't have any defense, but it's a free win, so it doesn't need defense. Executioner, but Jailer doesn't have any defense, and it kind of needs defense to not die. That's why if you are outed as Jailer, you just have to claim Jailer at that point. Like if Mafia knows who you are, you just have to claim it. Like hope the the bodyguard helps you, or maybe the bounty hunter. Bounty hunter is pretty good at protecting. But yeah, I mean, I think Jailer is just going to be at the very, very top of A tier. Well, there might be one role coming up that might go above it on A tier, but that's a little bit further down. And then there's Janitor, which isn't as good as Forger. It might go at the top of B tier. I think I'll put it at the top of B tier. Putting it in the same tier as Blackmailer is a little weird. I think I'll put it at the I don't know. I'll put it at the top of B tier. It's just it doesn't go in the same tier as Forger because it's not as good as Forger, but it's way better than Blackmailer. Maybe I should put Blackmailer in C tier. Does Blackmailer have as much of an impact as Assassin? Usually no, but it is very useful to blackmail town investigators. Yeah, I'll just keep Blackmailer at the bottom of B tier for now, and Janitor can go at the top of B tier, like so they're separated by all of this. And then there's Jester. Normally I would put Jester in C tier, but recently I've realized that it's actually a lot easier to win as Jester than I thought. Especially since abstaining like doesn't get haunted. So if someone thinks you're a Jester, they can just abstain and they'll be perfectly fine. So I think I'll put Jester around the middle of B tier. I'll put it above Amnesia. I'll put it below Amnesiac actually. I'll put Assassin up here though. Assassin's actually pretty good. Not as good as Janitor though, I would say. Janitor and Forger causing, they're really good Mafia deception roles. This one's not as good at deception. Though these ones are insanely good. Forger and Janitor. And Framer just sucks, and Framer's horrible. And then there's Juggernaut. Yeah, people argue all the time about which one's better between Juggernaut and Arsonist. Personally, I like Arsonist more. I'll say Arsonist is better, just for this example. But if you say Juggernaut's better, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you. It could be better. It could definitely be better. It might actually be better. But the Juggernaut, the thing it has going horrible for it is until you get that first skill, you're insanely weak. If you fight anyone that can fight back, you just die. You fight a vampire, you're gonna die, I think. I'm pretty sure zero kill Juggernaut's gonna lose to a vampire. It might not. I don't know. It actually might be as strong as each other. But until you get at least one kill, you're just gonna die to anything. And even with one kill, Godfather just kills you instantly. You're gonna need 3 kills before you start actually beating everything. Well, except for Pestilence and Werewolf, I guess, but you're not gonna see a werewolf unless you're in all any. And then there's Liberator. It's as far as town killings are aware, it's not that bad. It plays a role. It's decent at protecting, but it's not. I wouldn't call it that good. I'll put it right here below Janitor and B tier. Like Liberator is, it's just not as strong as like another town killer like Vigilante. And just like Vigilante though, it still dies to guilt, which is a pretty horrible downside. Like the only thing that's keeping it alive is the fact that it has this tiny little shield that can stop a bullet if the bullet hits it, but the shield is so small it's not really going to hit it. With Bodyguard, the shield's huge. The bullets are probably going to end up hitting the shield, at least some of them, and then he also has 400 HP. Liberator has 100 HP, and then what? Actually, I don't know how much HP Liberator has. I don't remember. I think he has a little bit more than 100 though, but he doesn't have that much HP, and then he has a tiny little shield protecting him. Like he'll get melted by a Godfather a lot of the time. Now, sometimes a Liberator can kill a Godfather. I've done it a couple times. I mean, heck, I've killed a serial killer as a Liberator before, but that's just a very rare thing to happen. Liberator doesn't beat a lot of the killing rows in a fight. And then there's a Lookout. It's like this is like in the middle of the town investigatives. I'd say I'd say it's worse than Investigator and it's worse than Bounty Hunter. So it definitely doesn't go in S tier. And I don't think it's good enough to go in A tier. I'll probably put it above Executive for now. Like Lookout is when it's good, it's insanely good, but it's usually only going to get one moment to shine when it gets an evil out, and even then, that doesn't always happen. But if it does get its moment to shine, then it's going to have a pretty good moment to shine. You're going to see the person do the crime. But like a massive downside holding Lookout back is if someone visits you, you're probably going to stop watching whoever you're watching so that you can pay attention to what's happening in your house so you don't die. Like that's a horrible downside. Even Spy doesn't have that downside. You know, Spy's a not that good of a town investigator. And then also, of course, Lookout has no defense. So like I just cannot put Lookout in the same tier as a investigator. Honestly, a part of me wants to put it in C tier, but I think it definitely belongs in B tier. And then there's Mafioso. Now, in a vacuum, Mafioso could go up to A tier because it's almost as strong as Godfather. It would be at the bottom of A tier because it's almost as strong as Godfather. You know, it's got one of the most powerful guns in the game, which Veteran and Godfather have. But that's only in a vacuum. If you're just a lone Mafioso, which you wouldn't be, you would become a Godfather. But the thing holding Mafioso back, the thing that makes it really bad, that makes me put it at the bottom of C tier, is that it just nerfs your entire Mafia team. Because Godfather can't visit while there's a Mafioso. In fact, I'm going to put it in D tier. It's just, it makes your Godfather unable to visit. That is horrible. That is such a horrible downside. It might even be below Consig. And yeah, no. Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to say that. Yeah, it's below Consig. That's just such a horrible downside. It completely outweighs all of the upsides to having a Mafioso. Like, Godfather is one of the strongest Mafia roles, and Mafioso existing completely nerfs Godfather. You cannot visit as it. You only have one visiting role that can kill. Normally, if it's anything other than Mafioso, you'll have two visiting roles that can kill, and that's insane. But with Mafioso, you only have one, and it has 100 HP, so if you walk into a trapper, you just die. And not to mention, Vigilante also one-shots you if he gets a headshot. The only Mafia role I'd say it's better than is Framer, and that's just because Framer's just completely worthless. But even then, Framer doesn't nerf the Godfather, but at least Mafioso can actually do something. Now, medium. I wish there were two mediums, because medium and casual and medium and ranked should definitely be put in different rankings. In casual, it would be at the bottom of F tier, but in ranked, it would definitely go in B tier, I'd say. So I'm just gonna put it in B tier for ranked because a lot of people play ranked more than casual. Well, yeah, there are a lot of people that do that, and since there's only since there are coven rules here, and I'm not basing this off of mini games. That means that, like, for the coven rules, I'm basing this off of ranked. So I'm basing most of these off of ranked, I guess. So yeah, I'll put medium and B rank. As long as there's dead townies, it'll definitely be very helpful at getting rid of evils, because they can just tell you the ID. Of course, evils can lie too, because it just tells you it's a ghost. It doesn't tell you who's actually saying it. But still, it's pretty useful role to have in ranked, as long as you don't claim medium until you get the information. Otherwise, you're gonna die. And then there's Medusa. Yeah, I spent a while thinking about like who belongs in S tier between Medusa and Witch. Now, I would put both of them in S tier, but I only want to put one Coven in S tier. I think, like, if you had asked me this like 4 days ago, I probably would have said Witch is better than Medusa. But after giving it more thought, I think Medusa is stronger. Because it's pretty much like a 2 or 3 kill Juggernaut. No, 2 kill, not 3 kill. Or maybe even 1 kill. Yeah, like a 1 kill Juggernaut that's fused with a Janitor. Like, that is so overpowered. And then it can also, if you target yourself, it just kills anyone that visits you, which is situational, but you could like vet bait and then target yourself, and anyone that visits you just dies, unless it's a werewolf. Or I guess a pestilence, but I don't, well, actually, Pestilence, I think Pestilence, no, Pestilence doesn't die to Medusa, I think. I think if Medusa targets himself, he does 1,000 damage to everyone, but that might be wrong. But yeah, if it does 1,000 damage, then Pestilence survives. I think Pestilence has 2,000 health. But yeah. But, I mean, what are the chances of you getting attacked by a Pestilence or a werewolf? It's not that high unless it's a full moon, I guess. And, like, Medusa, Janitor out here, I was, like, tempted to put Janitor in A tier because just how useful cleaning roles, like, is to do. Like, and Medusa does that for every single person he kills, and then the Coven sees what role it was. So it's insanely easy to fake claim if you kill a bunch of people as Medusa, because no one knows which role got claimed. You just clean the executive, that's a town support, you could claim, well, probably don't claim executive, since they would want you to reveal, and probably don't claim retributionist either, since they'd say, hey, it might be a necromancer game. I mean, I guess you could claim distractor if it is a town support instead of a random town. Now, if it's random town, you could claim anyone. I mean, except for people that it couldn't be, I guess. But yeah, it just gives you so much claim space. I mean, I'd say I don't know if I don't know if I can say it's better than Ambusher since it doesn't get confirmed kills while Ambusher does, but I can probably say it's better than Bounty Hunter. It's just insanely strong. Then there's Necromancer. Like, poor Necromancer. They can't revive anyone that's been turned to stone by Medusa. That's just so unfortunate. So like unless the Juggernaut got voted off or something, you're just kind of screwed because Medusa's like the main killing force on the Coven. Like, so most of the dead rogues are gonna die to Medusa, and Necromancer's not gonna be able to use them. It's just really not that good of a role because of that. That's a buff they really should give to Necromancer. Like, I really think they need to buff Necromancer with that. Let him use rolls that were turned to stone by Medusa. That might be too big of a buff, but I as it is right now, he's just really not that good. In fact, I might put him in D tier. He's useful sometimes, especially when the Medusa got voted off. So I don't think I can put him in D tier since Medusa might be voted off, and then he can become a Medusa, an immortal Medusa, because he can't die while using his power. Yeah, I'll put him at the bottom of C tier for now. Like, he's so bad, I'm saying he's worse than a Juggernaut, and people usually say Juggernaut sucks. And then there's Poisoner. If you now before it's like got a pretty big buff, I would have said it's in D tier. But after the buff, where you can't vote after getting poisoned and you can't visit while poisoned either, like those are some pretty big buffs to being poisoned. I'll put it around the bottom of B tier because that's just it's pretty useful, and it can also kill people. I mean, good luck. Like actually good luck killing someone with poisoner, but you can. It's possible to do that. So I mean, that gives it something. And then, of course, being able to actually poison people is pretty useful. I mean, they can't vote and they can't visit. So, like, Medusa could go over to their house after they're poisoned, unless there's a lookout, I guess, and then stone the doctor who's not going to be able to heal himself, and then stone the person that got poisoned. Of course, Poisoner can also, like, just rush into the Jailor's house knowing there's going to be a bunch of TPs there and just poison all of them before dying, but I probably wouldn't recommend that, but that can definitely work. It's Toxicologist is better at doing that though, because if you're hitting multiple targets, Toxicologist is way better at that. But Poisoner is way better on single targets usually, not always though, since the bullets do sometimes glitch out. If you see the bullets are glitching out a lot, I'd recommend zooming in while holding the weapon. That will usually fix the problem. And then there's Potion Master. I'll put that in the top of. I'll put that below Distractor. Like Potion Master is really not good. It's just not good. Don't investigate with Potion Master. That's horrible. It doesn't even tell you what role the person is. It just gives you 4 options. Like investigating is worthless. Now healing, sure you could fake claim Doctor. You could heal your Poison Coven if you're playing all any, but I mean that's rare. Yeah, people aren't going to trust Doctor claims in a Coven game because there's like always a Potion Master, and then the attacking is so bad. Honestly, I'll put it below these guys. Like realistically, it's better than these two because it has 3 partners, but that's the only reason why. As a role, it's much worse than Juggernaut. The only reason it's better than Juggernaut is because it has partners. But since I'm just judging them independently here, I'll say Potion Master is under Juggernaut in this case. Yeah, Potion Master kind of sucks. I'm sorry to that guy that likes to say Potion Master's OP. He always names himself like Potion Master is the best or something. Sorry if you end up seeing this. Retributionist. Just better Necromancer. I'll put it I'll put it right here. Yeah, that's a good place for it to go. B tier. Close to the middle, but like closer to the top than like the middle, I guess. The only thing that Retributionist has bad is you have to wait for a town that you can actually use the corpse of to die before you can use it. But once that happens, you're immortal for 3 nights in a row. Even an Arsonist can't kill you. And I don't think Jester can either. He couldn't a couple months ago. I don't know if they've changed that yet or not, because that sounds like a glitch. But he couldn't in the past, so maybe he still can't. And like that's just ridiculous. An unstoppable attack cannot kill you as Retributionist. That's just insane. You're just straight up immortal. And like, hey, you think this guy's evil? Well, who cares? You can use the Investigator corpse, run into his house. It doesn't matter if he attacks you. That'll just confirm he's evil. And who knows, maybe you'll actually be able to see the box before someone kills you. And even if they do kill you, you're not dead. Like, you're immortal. If you had asked me this a couple months ago, I probably would have put Retributionist at the top of A tier. Honestly, Retributionist. It's honestly, it's kind of insane. I'll put it at the bottom of A tier. Like, Retru is just insanely good, especially if there's a dead bounty hunter, because then you can use the bounty hunter corpse and just, I mean, you're like one of the most overpowered roles in the game, and you don't have to worry about dying. Of course, for Retributionist, I think Lookout's usually better. Not always, but usually, since like in that situation, Lookout would be way better since you don't have to worry about Lookout's biggest problem, which is its lack of defense, since you're immortal. Like the reason Bounty Hunter is so much better than Lookout is because it can defend itself while checking a house. But yeah, I think Retribution is like I think his immortality allows me to put him in A tier without like much of a problem. In fact, I'll put him above Bodyguard. Yeah, I was sleeping on Retributionist there like a couple seconds ago. Like, he's just really good. He definitely deserves to be an A tier. But then there's Serial Killer. Well, Arsonist and Juggernaut are in C tier, so I can't reasonably put him in C tier. So I'll put him at the bottom of B tier. Now, Serial Killer is one of the best neutral killings. It is an insanely good neutral killing just because it's insanely strong. That's it. That's all it has going for it. It's insanely strong. But it's just, it suffers from the same problem that all neutral killings have. It just doesn't have any partners. I just cannot put Serial Killer in A tier because it doesn't have partners. It has no voting power at all. Like, sure, it automatically wins Final 3, but you're gonna have to get to Final 3 to have that happen. But among neutral killings, like, it's definitely better than, like, Arsonist and Juggernaut. And, yeah, it's probably one of the best neutral killings. Not the best, though. Not the best at all. There's definitely one neutral killing that's way better than Serial Killer, in my opinion. I guess in most people's opinions. And up next is Sheriff, which, I mean, Sheriff is like debatably the worst town investigative. Like there are so many evil roles that show up as not suspicious. There are so many, and then Arsonist and Framer both make like roles appear as suspicious. I don't think Sheriff needed that indirect nerf. I really don't think it did. It's already pretty bad. I don't think I can put it in the same tier as no Sheriff. I I just couldn't. I couldn't. I could not put this in the same tier as Distractor. Of course, Distractor probably should be in B tier, but I'll just keep it in C tier. I'll put Sheriff at the top of D tier. It's just the worst town investigative. It's useless most of the time. It is very, very rare that you will find someone as suspicious that hasn't already been like pretty much confirmed as suspicious. And then when you do, they're probably going to be a neutral benign. Like, because all the neutral benigns except for Amnesiac show up as suspicious. Like, it's just so bad. And then, of course, it's like Pirate shows up suspicious too, and everyone loves pirates. Like, Sheriff is so bad. All of the Mafia deceptions show up as not suspicious, except for Forger. That one shows up as suspicious. But, like, it's just, like, Sheriff is just so bad compared to Investigator. It's just a much, much, much worse version of it. Like, it's not as bad as Framer. Like, because Framer, do you know what Framer is? It's nothing but a counter to Sheriff. Which, that alone already is pretty bad. but then Sheriff is one of the worst roles in the game. Like, Framer is... This isn't Framer's slot, I shouldn't be talking about Framer, but yeah, Sheriff is really bad. So is Framer. And then there's Survivor. This is... Realistically, it should be an A tier, because it should be an easy win, but for some reason, evils love attacking Survivor. It doesn't make any sense. Survivor is a free vote for evil. Like, Survivor can side evil very easily, but evils love attacking Survivor. Like, whenever I'm Survivor and I claim Survivor, Town is usually the one to protect me. Evils love attacking Survivor for some reason. So I'm gonna put it in B tier. It's still like not that hard to live as Survivor. Just pretty much say every single day I'm Survivor. Otherwise, people will forget and they will go after you. Even when they remember, they might still go after you. But if you claim Survivor day one, it's very likely that a lookout's gonna watch you because for some reason evils love attacking Survivor. So whenever I'm lookout and someone claims Survivor day one, I usually watch them. Of course, they could be an arsonist and I'd just be screwed after that. But yeah, it's usually worth the risk. And then there's a Toxicologist. I'd say, and I'm gonna say it's better than Poisoners slightly. Now, the reason for this is Poisoner can technically kill people, while Toxicologist can't because of its low damage. It's not only insanely difficult to actually kill someone as Poisoner because the damage is so low and the bullets are kind of janky, but Toxicologist is way better at poisoning multiple people. If there are like 5 people in one little group, Toxicologist can easily just stab all of them and poison all of them. Poisoner, his bullets only hit one person. Like, good luck hitting all 5 of those people before like dying to one of them or something. As Toxicologist, you could poison like all of them before dying. And I mean, because of that, I think Toxicologist is better because it's not that rare for there to be large groups of people, especially like if you're going to someone who baited or something, like or a confirmed jailer. I don't know why the Toxicologist would be going to a confirmed jailer, but he could. But yeah, I mean, other than that, he pretty much does the same thing Poisoner does. Poison's pretty overpowered. It stops someone from voting. It stops them from actually leaving their house. It's a pretty good thing to have. So yeah, I had to put him like right next to the Poisoner. Now, if you think Poisoner is better than Toxicologist, yeah, you can just like swap these around. But personally, I think Toxicologist is more useful just because of those situations where there's multiple people in a group. If there are multiple people in a group and you're Poisoner, it's just like have fun trying to poison everyone. Like you could, it's just harder though. And then there's Trapper. Trapper. Yeah, I'm gonna put that in D tier. Not at the bottom though. Trapper. Now, a tier list I saw recently had Trapper in A tier. I just cannot even begin to understand why though. Trapper is really not good. You almost always end up trapping towns as Trapper. Like, ooh, there's the executive. I'm gonna leave a trap on him. Oh, well, you just trapped the bodyguard. And now the Godfather just walked in and put a bunch of bullets in the bodyguard's head. And good job, you just killed the bodyguard. Oh, I'm gonna trap myself. Oh, a sheriff just visited me. I just killed the sheriff. Like, most of the evil rogues that can visit you have more than 100 HP. So they're not gonna die to your trap. Like, Trapper is so bad. I mean, it's just much worse than Veteran in protecting yourself. And then on protecting others, it's the worst town protect, like by far, at least in my opinion. Like, Liberator is a much better town protect. I mean, Bounty Hunter is much better at protecting people than Trapper. Like, Trapper almost always gets towns like caught in the crossfire. I mean, heck, Vigilante is better than protecting people than Trapper. Trapper's usually worthless in games. In fact, Trapper usually is less than worthless. He usually actively harms towns. That's why I have to put him at the bottom of all the towns, because unlike other towns, Trapper actively hurts town. Like, sure, Distractor does that a lot too, but if you're doing good as Distractor, you can distract people that aren't confirmed, and then, hey man, it's their fault. They never claimed. Like, how would you know he was town? For Trapper, you can trap the jailer, and the bodyguard got caught in the trap because the bodyguard wanted to protect the jailer. Like, with Distractor, you're not going to distract the bodyguard claim. You're not going to distract the jailer claim. Trapper is just, it's actively harmful to town. I cannot put it in F tier though, because it is not as bad as Framer. Because at least sometimes Trapper does good. Framer, If you see Framer do something, like if Framer frames someone that got checked by Sheriff that night, that's a miracle. You just witnessed a miracle. That never happened. But Trapper, at least every now and then, Trapper will do something really good. But Framer doesn't. So yeah, I'm gonna put Trapper in D tier. Above Consig and Mafioso, I guess. And then from one of the worst roles in the game to one of the best roles in the game, I'm gonna put it right below Executioner. Vampire, the best neutral killing. Now, people might be a little bit confused here, because especially since just earlier I said that Vampire is, as strong as like zero kill Juggernaut. But the strength isn't what makes Vampire strong. It's the fact that it can turn townies into vampires, which gives you claim space, and it gives you voting power. So you'll end up having 3 vampires, 2 of which were townies originally. Maybe all 3 of the original died. So they are easily able to claim what they originally were, usually. I mean, unless you pit the Jailor, I guess. He's probably not going to be able to claim Jailor anymore. I mean, he's going to be completely screwed if anyone visits him. But, like, well, I guess he could just stay home. But, yeah, you're going to be able to claim the roles you originally were, and now you're also going to have voting power. So Vampire is like a whole new Mafia team, a whole new Coven team, while every single member of the team has killing power. It's insanely good. The only downside to Vampire is there cannot be more than 4 vampires in a game. Now, there can only be 3 at once, but there can only be 4 to, like, exist. So if 1 died and there's 3 right now, well, there can never be another vampire. If another vampire dies out of those 3, you can't bite anyone else. I mean, you can bite them, but they're not going to turn into a vampire unless they change that later, but that's just how it is right now. But even with that, like, tiny little downside, or I guess that's actually a pretty big downside, it's still insanely overpowered. Vampire is the only role that when I get it in ranked, I think, oh, I can win this. Yeah, I can definitely win this. Right, any other neutral killing role in ranked, I'm like, okay, no, I lost. I'm just gonna, just try to kill as many people as I can for fun. I lost though, but I could maybe do some stuff for fun. But with Vampire, like when I get Vampire in ranked, I think, oh yeah, no, no. As long as I have a good night 1, I'm gonna win this. Actually, I don't think I can win. I think I will win. Like Vampire is just insanely good. You can also bite Plaguebearer, by the way. I'm I don't know if it can bite Fugitive, but I'm guessing it can. And since it can bite those 2, I'm thinking, can Vampire bite Pirate? I don't actually know if it can or not. So if you know, feel free to tell me. But since it can bite the other neutral chaoses, I would imagine it probably can. That'd be hilarious. And then there's Veteran. This is like also a pretty like middling town killing. It's objectively worse than Liberator. I'll put it at the top of C. I'll put it below Distractor actually. Like Distractor honestly should be in B tier. It really belongs in B tier. Yeah, I'll put it in B tier. But Veteran, yeah, I'll put it at the top of C tier. It's just once you've gotten 1 bait off, that's it. Have fun trying to like get any more evils to visit you after the first evil batch or whatever. Like maybe, just maybe, a neutral killing will visit you night 1. You can kill it, and then a Mafia will visit you night 2. But like that is very rare. And also Veteran can be witched, by the way. I think that's really stupid. It can't be distracted, but it can be witched. I don't think that makes any sense. But yeah. Veteran, what it's got really going for it is it has, the gun that Mafioso and Godfather have. One of the most overpowered weapons in the entire game. As I said with Godfather, it shoots insanely fast and does a lot of damage. Like anything other than like a Juggernaut with an insane amount of kills, or a Werewolf, or a Pestilence, you can just kill instantly. Plaguebearer walks up. Plaguebearer has like 400 or 500 HP. I don't know how much it has, but it has around that much. It might have 300. It has like 300 to 500. Plaguebearer gets killed in less than 1 clip. Like, if you hit all the bullets, that Plaguebearer is dead. I know because I've done that before. That poor Plaguebearer. And yeah, Veteran just melts anything that walks into it. But it can't visit. It can only alert 3 times, and you'll have to bait properly. And also, if it's a Mafia game, people will probably think, oh, that's a Godfather. So, Veterans just, in my opinion, it's the worst town killing. Which, it's still better than a couple other towns. Two other towns, maybe three. Yeah, I'll say it's better than three other towns, but that's it. Yeah, it's worse than all the other towns, in my opinion. And then there's Vigilante, which that's A tier. That's easy A tier. I'm gonna put it below Investigator though. Like Vigilante is insanely strong. It can one shot most evils. Most. A headshot. I don't remember specifically how much the headshot does. I'm actually gonna look that up. So apparently it does 100 on headshot. So yeah, it can two shot a Godfather and one shot, most evils, like I said. Well, any evil without defense, I guess, which would be like Ambusher and Assassin and Zero Kill Juggernauts. Which, I mean, it's really funny when an ambusher attacks you as Vigilante and you just kill it instantly with a headshot. Doesn't happen all the time, but it's happened to me a couple times, and I just love when that happens. And yeah, I mean, it's just an insanely strong roll, usually. Like, if you get the drop on someone, you usually win. I put it below Godfather though, because like I said earlier, Godfather kind of just wins against Vigilante usually. Vigilante doesn't attack that fast. Godfather attacks insanely fast. If they fight at the same time, even if they're both hitting headshots all the time, I mean Godfather just kills it like instantly, whereas Vigilante might get one shot off and Godfather's still alive. And then there's Witch. Earlier I said Jailor might not be at the top of the A tier because of Witch. I'll put Witch below Jailor. Witch is just insanely good. Now, when Witch finds a Jailor, it goes above Executioner. I mean, if Witch has found the Jailor night one, you won. Unless you get insanely unlucky, you won. Like it is so easy to win if you find the Jailor night one. But other than that, I mean, sure, you could maybe find the Vigilante, you could find the Liberator. That's not as overpowered. If you find the Jailor as Witch, the only thing that could possibly stop you is the neutral killing. Or, I guess, a Vigilante walking into your actual house and shooting you, but eh. If you find the Jailor, though, you can just get a confirmed kill every single night, and that is insanely overpowered. Witch doesn't have to take a break if it kills a townie as Jailor. If Jailor kills a townie, he can't jail the next night. Witch doesn't have that restriction. Witch doesn't have that restriction with Liberator and Vigilante either. If you kill a townie as them, you can still witch them again the next night, and they won't immediately die of guilt and won't be roadblocked by guilt or whatever. So you can kill as Vigilante 2 nights in a row with Witch. Witch is just insanely strong. And then if your Medusa died, Jailor's dead, most of the town killings are dead, hey, you could become a Necromancer and actually do something as Necromancer because it's a dead Medusa. Medusa's pretty strong. A part of me does really want to put Witch up here and put Medusa down here, but yeah. Now, of course, Witch and Jailor both belong in S tier. However, I only want to put one town and one coven in S tier, so they're more in an A plus tier, at the very top of A tier. But yeah, Witch is just insanely strong. And then there's Guardian Angel. I'll put it right below Witch and Jailor. Guardian Angel is insanely easy to win as, usually. Usually. It's nowhere near as easy to win as Executioner, but I mean, you could just betray your target and become a survivor. You're a confirmed survivor. Most people aren't going to attack you there. And even if you don't betray your target, if your target's a town, yeah, good for you. Your target's Coven or Mafia, good for you. You got 5 people all together, and your target's immune to voting, and you have 500 HP or however much HP Guardian Angel has, until you run out of protections, of course. But yeah, Guardian Angel is just... It's so good because no one ever wants to kill the Guardian Angel. You're only gonna die when you're out of protections and you and you still visit your target. Because you're going with your target to wherever they're going, you might get attacked. Because, hey man, I don't know if that's a Guardian Angel or not, I'm gonna attack it. It's probably what the evil's saying to himself. He probably didn't say that exactly, but yeah, if you stay home as a Guardian Angel though, I mean, only a scumbag is gonna attack you. Who the heck attacks the Guardian Angel? Yeah, Guardian Angel is so easy to win as if you're tryharding. Because protect twice, say, hey man, I'm the guardian angel. I can't do anything now. Please don't kill me. I'm a neutral benign. I'm confirmed. And then, like, just stay home. And then there's Puppeteer. I would say this is worse than Blackmailer, just because it can't read whispers, even though it can control what they're saying. It's usually pretty easy to tell that they're being, like, faked. I'll put it in C tier. Now, I would put it in B tier, but one of the things holding it back is it can become witch. In other words, why would you ever be a puppeteer? Just become witch. In fact, it doesn't even belong to C tier because of that. Like, just don't be a puppeteer, become a witch. Like, you should always become a witch as a puppeteer night one. Like, maybe not in a minigame, but in, like, ranked, just become witch night one. It's so much better than puppeteer. Yeah, I'll put puppeteer at the bottom of D tier just because of that. Like, it should always become a witch night one. And then there's werewolf, which I'll put at the right here, below trapper. Now, some people might be confused by what I just did here. The main reason I'm putting werewolf at the bottom of the neutral killings, though, he doesn't get to attack most of the time. Like, I think night 5 or night 6, I think it's night 6 or night 7 actually, you'll start getting a full moon every night. But before then, you're only gonna get to attack like twice. And even then, your model is so huge that you cannot do any like obbies. So if someone's like at the top of a wall that you have to like jump up some things to get to, well, you can't get them. You're too big. You can't do the obby. Like, so werewolf is only going to be good against visiting roles because most hiding spaces are like high up. Now, not all of them are, but most like of the good hiding spaces are like high up, and the werewolf's not going to be able to go up there. So you're just not going to do anything, and then you're going to have to wait like another couple days before you can attack again. You just completely wasted your night. And then you also suffer from the same problem that all the other neutral killings have. You're by yourself. You don't have anyone voting with you. It's just usually not a good role. It needs a buff, honestly. Like, Werewolf really needs a buff. They thought like, hey, Werewolf's really strong. It does so much damage. It does so much HP. Let's nerf it into the ground. Make it only attack like once every 3 nights. But that just made it so bad. Like, it is... No, actually, no. It goes at the bottom of D tier. This is probably the second worst role in the game. It just can't do anything. It's like, sure, you can win as Werewolf. It's usually just easier to win as Juggernaut, though, or win as Arsonist, or win as Serial Killer, and it's definitely easier to win as Vampire. Like, Werewolf is just so bad. And then there's Spy. Yeah, I'll put Spy in C tier. I'll put it above the neutral killings, but below Veteran. It's just, on average, I'd say it's worse than Lookout. It's obviously worse than Investigator. Like, why would you need to spy on the guy when you can just go investigate him? But then Lookout, like, I think Lookout is usually better at catching evil since it checks an entire house, or a spy can only check like a single person. And short, like that person might be a little bit suspicious. You could check him, but then maybe he's not that suspicious. Maybe he's an evil, but he can't kill, so you're not gonna find anything because you don't see that he killed anyone. Like spy just doesn't give you enough information to make it a good role. It's still better than sheriff because sheriff is horrible, but it is no, it's not. It's one of the worst roles. One of the worst town roles. I'd say it's the third worst town role. It just doesn't get enough useful information to be useful. I remember seeing a tier list recently where it was an A tier, and I was just shocked. It didn't make any sense to me. And then there's Pirate. Pirate will be at the bottom of S tier. It's very easy to win as, but sometimes for no reason at all, people just hate Pirate and will try to kill you as Pirates. It just happens sometimes. And then also, if sometimes you'll get a gun. That's it. If you get the gun, have fun. You can win with the gun. It's just way harder to win with the gun because it's not good. And of course, if you get the sword, you could, kill the person, then go back home and kill some people. But people would have to visit you for that to happen and still be there. I would still put it up here, though. it's actually a pretty good roll. I'll put it above these ones because pirate is really easy to win as. In fact, I'd say it is usually easier to win as than vampire. Executioner is way easier to win as, but yeah, pirate is. It's a really good role. It's one of the best roles in the game. Everyone loves pirate. Everyone loves playing pirate. Well, not everyone. I saw someone say pirate was boring, but that's a rare opinion. And then up next, well, since Pestilence and Plaguebearer are like separated, I'll do Plaguebearer first. I'll put them in B tier. Better than Arsonist. Easy to infect everyone. Pretty much everyone has told me that Plaguebearer only needs to become Pestilence to win. I don't know if this is true because I have never seen a Pestilence die, for reasons I'll get into when I get to Pestilence. But for Plaguebearer, it's an insanely decent role. It's very easy to infect everyone. You have like 500 HP or 400. You have a lot of HP. I don't know how much, but it's a lot. So it's pretty difficult to die unless you like run into a Godfather, and even then it's eh. And then once you infect everyone, I mean, you're the Pestilence. Hey, maybe you won according to pretty much everyone I've asked, but I don't know for sure. But yeah, Plaguebearer, it's not that hard to infect everyone, but it can get pretty difficult. You claim Plaguebearer, they're gonna say, hey, screw you, we don't like Plaguebearer, and vote you out. But still, Plaguebearer it's not that hard to infect people, especially since you're insanely durable. But then, Pestilence, yeah, that's at the top of S tier. Especially if it's true that you just have to become Pestilence to win, then, well, you won. Uh, Now there is a glitch with the rolling thing, with like the thing that selects your roll, the roll wheel, that shows Pestilence on it. But if you land on Pestilence, it'll just make you a Plaguebearer. It won't make you spawn as Pestilence. But Pestilence, stronger, like it's pretty much like a neutral killing, but stronger than all of them. Like technically, it's not as good as a Werewolf. It does more damage than Werewolf, and it attacks faster than Werewolf. It has a lot less HP though, but it has a normal human model, so it can do obbies to get someone up high. Not to mention, well, it still has 2,000 HP. It's like Medusa self-gazing isn't going to kill a Pestilence. It'll do half of its HP, which is a lot, but it's not going to kill it. And then Pestilence poisons multiple people every night just by existing. And I already said earlier just how strong poison is. That put these guys in B tier just because of how good poisoning is. And Pestilence does that to multiple people every night without doing anything. This is why I've never seen a Pestilence die, because the only real way to beat a Pestilence is to vote it out like as soon as it becomes a Pestilence. And if you know who the Plaguebearer is, he's probably not going to become a Pestilence because people usually vote out Plaguebearer. So Pestilence is, I mean, it's just the most overpowered thing in existence, really. Like, luckily, you have to be a Plaguebearer. You have to actually turn into a Pestilence. You have to infect everyone to become a Pestilence. Because if you could just spawn as Pestilence, I mean, that just wouldn't be fair. That wouldn't be fair at all. Nothing beats a Pestilence except for I I think a Werewolf could. No, I don't. I think time would run out before a Werewolf could kill a Pestilence. Maybe. I don't know for certain. I think a Werewolf might be able to kill a Pestilence. Now, a Juggernaut with like 7 kills could kill a Pestilence. Have fun getting 7 kills as Juggernaut, though. That's just not going to happen. I mean, it might. But if you got 7 kills as Juggernaut, have fun getting 7 kills as Juggernaut, and then there's also a Pestilence. That would be very fun to watch, though. And then Fugitive. Fugitive's like, it's like Amnesiac. Better, though. It's a knife like serial killer, but it's weaker. The knife is a lot weaker. It doesn't have any defense. But I'd say it's better than Amnesiac, usually. Yeah. You could just kill a sheriff and take the role. But if you run into a killing role, have fun trying to kill it. It's pretty hard, but at least it has defense. Amnesiac doesn't have any defense, while Fugitive does. So I think I like Fugitive a little bit more than Amnesiac because of that. And yeah, that's the tier list then. If there's anything you disagree with, feel free to say it in the comments, I guess, because people really like to put different things at different tiers. Like I saw someone put a spy in an A tier, which I definitely do not agree with. Now, and if there's anything you are questioning about, I'm probably gonna put like stamps to like each thing I put up, because this is a long video, you might have skipped to the end or whatever. I'm gonna put like stamps like when I talked about Mafioso, when I talked about like Framer and stuff, why I'm putting them in the tiers I put them, like why I put Werewolf almost at the bottom, stuff like that. And yeah, that'll be it. I'll see you then.